happy train season, at least for political leaders of Canada's largest city, who never cease to use an election to beg for a handout. Recently, Mayor John Tory wrote to all federal party leaders, once again asking for bags of cash. He wants another $75 million just for this year in COVID budget relief funding on top of what he already got, and get this, $1.5 billion next year to cover all kinds of losses. He asked the leaders to commit to a funding partnership with the city to ensure that Toronto continues to be the driving engine of Canada's economy and the nation's economic recovery. Well, we should never overlook the fact that Toronto is indeed the center of the universe. Let's not forget that the city got a total of more than $1.4 billion from the feds in what was called Safe Restart funding. That came last year and this year. But with an election in the wind, a variety of federal ministers turned up on Toronto's doorstep over the past months to announce yet more goodies. Social Development Minister Ahmad Hussein was here a couple of times with, at first, $14 million for affordable housing in June. He then doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down his efforts in July with another $132 million. And just days before the election, he pledged another $96 million for Black community organizations. In April, Health Minister Patty Hadju threw $7.7 million into the Toronto Drug Kitty for more harm reduction efforts and safer drug supply. Well, there's nothing like shoring up your support in vote-rich Toronto using our tax dollars. You might say there's been a kind of symbiotic fiscal relationship between Mr. Tory and Mr. Trudeau, especially during the pandemic. Tory even admits that Trudeau has been quite good for Toronto. But I'm wondering if a fiscal conservative leader like Erin O'Toole, who has an eye on balancing the budget at least some point before we're all old and gray, will fall for Toronto's constant cries for cash. A good fiscal conservative would not, especially given Toronto Council's track record for spending without an eye to the bottom line. There's so many examples of waste I could go on for an hour, but I'll cite just a few. There's the recent decision to rename Dundas Street to appease a few thousand activists at an estimated cost of $7 million. I say estimated because whenever the City of Toronto gets their hands on some project, it goes way over budget. Take the renovation of Union Station. It was delayed by at least 4 years, was 30% over budget, and was the subject of more than 17 reports. It came in around an obscene $823 million. Tory and Council have used COVID as an excuse not to tender out construction of the city's modular housing projects. These are self-contained units for the homeless. That has driven the cost up by at least 2.5 times, according to one of the competitors in the business, who was shut out of the bidding. Because money is no object, the spendaholics at City Hall have opted to put homeless in 3- and 4-star hotels at $220 a night. This will continue, it seems, until next spring. And not one city staffer has lost their job during the pandemic, but I would imagine that is pretty much typical of all levels of government. My point is, it seems that yet again, Toronto Council has no problem with spending with impunity and begging with impunity. Someone needs to remind them that there is only one taxpayer, you and me.